Hi, it's Shane here from ITTN, and I'm back with another coffee break video. This time it's to celebrate Canada Day, and I'm catching up with Bláithín O'Donnell, Sales Manager for Air Canada here in Ireland. So we're in the fantastic surroundings of the Epic Museum. The reason being, there's huge connections between the Irish and Canadians. So to find out a little bit more about this amazing topic and all things Air Canada, stay tuned in and switched on and see how we get on. Bláithín, great to see you.
Thanks very much, Shane.
So, and it's a unique choice of venue we're in today. So do you want to tell us why you kind of chose this location?
Well, this is Epic, the Irish Immigration Museum, and it's got a special place in a lot of our hearts because obviously we have a great story in Ireland about immigration. Yeah. And we're celebrating Canada Day today with the Canadian Embassy here in the Epic Museum. But the Epic Museum has got a lot of connections with Canada as well. Just outside here on the quays, people will notice the famine memorial statues that are there. They were designed and created by Rowan Gillespie, and these are evoking the departure of famine people from Ireland. But a lot of people don't know that there are sister statues of these in Toronto in Canada. So if anyone's ever in Toronto down by Billy Bishop Airport, which is the little city airport in Toronto, on Toronto Island, if you just go behind the airport entrance by the old malting silos, you'll find that there's a place there called Ireland Park, and the address is Erin Quay, so that gives a little clue to it as well. And it was designed by Jonathan Kearns, and Rowan Gillespie created sister statues of these famine statues here in Dublin, and they're there, and they depict the arrival in Toronto, because there were tens of thousands of people that came from Ireland to Canada, specifically to Toronto in that instance, and they were arriving there, and basically they doubled the population of Toronto at that time. So obviously then a lot of people gave their lives to look after those recent immigrant arrivals, and over 1,500 died in the typhus sheds in Toronto as well. So it's a memorial to those who lost their lives on the way, a memorial to those that were rebuilding their lives in Canada, and a memorial then as well to those Canadians that lost their lives tending to the Canadians. So we have quite a strong connection with the Epic Immigration Museum.
Well, I suppose that leads us on nicely to the summer routes back open.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of like immigration, you know, that's probably one of the reasons why we're able to fill all of our flights so well, really. You know, we have year-round service to Toronto. We've had that for a number of years, but we also have summer seasonal routes to Vancouver and to Montreal. And the story of emigration and immigration hasn't stopped, even though we don't have that big influx and exflux of people to and from Ireland in terms of emigration, but it still happens to this day. So, for example, the Canadian government gives over 10,500 visas to young Irish people every year for working holiday visas. They're called the IEC visas. So it means that young Irish people get the chance to explore and go and work in Canada for up to 2 years as well. It's been a wonderful boon and bonus for us, because not only are those people travelling over to Canada, for example, but we find not like in the old days when people emigrated and that was it, you never saw them again. We find that 6 months after the son and daughter moves over to Canada, suddenly mommy and daddy want to go and visit Vancouver and visit Toronto and take the whole family with them, including the grandmother, and do a great holiday there. So obviously that whole journey and that reason for travelling has evolved over the years, but the kind of immigrant experience has meant that our aircraft are really full. So our summer seasonal routes, particularly Vancouver, is very popular with the young Irish immigrant at the moment. So the Canadian Toronto climate and the Montreal climate during the winter time mightn't be as conducive to an Irish person. We're not used to that snowfall here anyway.
So, and it's not just about those direct services. You've got so many connections once you arrive in Canada.
Absolutely. I mean, only a certain amount of people that are on our flights are going to Toronto when they go to Toronto, for example, but we have a lot of connections beyond Toronto, Vancouver and Montreal. The US is a really important market for us, and those destinations might be Orlando, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Detroit, Columbus, Ohio, for example. But as well as that, besides the US, we also have destinations like Cancun, San Jose, Mexico, into the Caribbean as well. I've just come back from Cancun myself on holiday, so that's that's really important for me, and I had a great time there as well. So we'd always say we're not just about Canada, even though we're experts on Canada, we also fly beyond Canada as well.
But I know when you're flying there, you're flying in style. I see you have the Dreamliner on the route.
We do. We have the Dreamliner on all of our Irish routes. So our Toronto, Vancouver and Montreal, we have two different versions, the 787 800 series and the 900 series. The 900 series is slightly larger, so it's on the Toronto route really all of the time. And the 800 and 900 vary between Montreal and Vancouver, depending on what day of the week it is.
Yeah. And I know we touched on the 787 Dreamliner, like kind of mentioning that it's like a really fuel efficient, great for sustainability in terms of environmentally friendly aircraft, but you don't just stop there.
No, sustainability is about a lot more than just one single thing. Our motto for sustainability is leave less and do more. And so there's things that we do. In other words, that sustainability can do with the aircraft type, making sure that we have very fuel efficient aircraft. All of our purchasing and leasing is done with that in mind. Sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF as it's called, we've got a big focus on that at the moment. There is a shortage of it worldwide at the moment, but we've got a drive and an effort on to make sure that we can get our fair share of that as well. We've got other practices on board as well. So in other words, it's everything from looking at the coffee stirrers that you have, the packaging that you have on board. It's about reusing old things like the old uniforms that we have on board of our crew, for example. We're able to reuse those into other sorts of things. And then we do other sorts of things like we put honeybees on the roofs of our buildings, for example. Or we have the startup units at the airport, which are traditionally diesel powered, are now switching over to electric powered as well. So we've got a whole program in place, and all of it is there because we want to be net carbon neutral by 2050. So that doesn't just mean 2050 is when it all starts. It means we need to do those goals now and achieve those goals bit by bit in order to achieve that by 2050. It is,
yeah. And I know that the Canadians are always known for their friendliness, but I know that that's been kind of, I suppose, materialised in the Skytrax Awards.
It has. We're really proud. they've just recently been announced, these awards, and I suppose some of the ones I'm most proud of is that we've got the kind of best cabin crew in flight in Canada, which is lovely. And certainly I've just come back from a holiday myself, and I was able to experience that myself with my family as well. Yeah. But also one of the great Skytrax Awards that we won as well was the best family-friendly airline in the world as well. So Canadians have a great reputation for being friendly and for being nice, and it's lovely to see that being translated to the younger generation on board our aircraft as well. We have a number of programs in place to help that happen. It's not just about being nice to the children and doing children's meals anymore. We need to make sure that families have a good experience from the start of their journey to the end of their journey, and knowing in advance that things are going to be good and taken care of properly. So one of those things, for example, is that we offer free advanced seating to families with children under the age of 14. So normally you'd have to pre-purchase your seat if you wanted a particular seat, etc. But once the date of birth is in the booking, either if you book direct or with a travel agency and the ticket has been issued, then we automatically assign seats for children under the age of 14 with their family, so you can sit together. That's one of the biggest bugbears of families travelling. Will I get to travel with the children? Now, I'm sure there's some parents out there that would love to be able to sit apart from their children on a flight, but in all honesty, really, it's the best part to keep families together as well. So things like that really kind of help. But we've got obviously kids packs on board and children's meals and all of those extras, but the seating has certainly been a winner from our Irish travel agents.
Yeah, and I know if like maybe some members of the trade mightn't have flown Air Canada, and if they want to be in with a chance of flying Air Canada and they're handy with their camera phone, they can enter the ITTN Air Canada Photographer of the Year.
Absolutely. Look, this is the second year in a row that we've sponsored the ITTN Photographer of the Year. We were delighted last year with the response to it. It was certainly really difficult for myself and the other judges to look at all of those photographs because there were some amazing entries. It certainly got me inspired when I've been on my own holidays looking, but I can't enter the competition. So I'd say to everybody, look, just go enter the competition, take those holiday snaps either here in Ireland or on abroad on your trips, and you'll be with a chance to win tickets to Canada. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us today, Bláithín.
Thank you.